Welcome to Psyche Talks. This is where we really get into it, taking source material and, digging deep.
Yeah, pulling out the key stuff, the important bits.
Exactly. We try to cut through all the noise to find those crucial insights for you. It's kind of a shortcut to really understanding what's going on, the why behind it all.
And today we've got some really fascinating excerpts on the first 7 habits of highly effective people.
Right, the classic stuff. Very influential material.
Definitely. And it's more than just a list, though. It's really a whole framework for being effective personally and, with others, how people really flourish long term.
Yeah, it goes way beyond just simple productivity hacks, doesn't it? So our mission today is to unpack these habits. Like, what are they really about? How do they fit together?
And how they change how you see things, right? Your whole perspective, how you approach life.
Totally. We'll look at taking control first, then figuring out your direction, managing your time.
And then how to build those really strong relationships. It all starts with how you see yourself, really. Recognizing your own power to choose.
That fundamental shift in thinking.
Exactly. True effectiveness isn't just about doing more things. It's about fundamentally changing your approach, your mindset.
Okay, let's dive right in then. The journey starts with habit number 1. Be proactive. The material kind of hits you right away with this core question, doesn't it? Are you in control, or is life just sort of happening to you?
Absolutely. You can't really talk about being effective until you tackle this. And proactivity here, it's all about responsibility. It's realizing that key thing. Between what happens to you, the stimulus, and how you react the response, there's a space.
Ah, that space.
Yes. And in that space is your freedom, your power to choose your response. The source puts it really powerfully. You are not a product of your circumstances. You are a product of your decisions.
That's a huge distinction.
Yeah.
Because the opposite, the reactive way, it means you're basically letting external stuff control you.
Right. Your mood depends on the traffic or how someone spoke to you or the weather.
Yeah, it's all external triggers. Yeah. But proactive people, they're guided more by their internal compass, right? Their values, their choices.
Exactly. And that space between stimulus and response, that's where the proactive choice happens. Reactive people often just, react. Maybe with anger or blame or frustration.
Just pure emotion driving it.
Pretty much. Proactive people use that space. They feel the emotion, sure, but they choose their response based on their principles, on what's actually important to them, on the kind of person they want to be.
And this connects directly to that idea of the circle of influence versus the circle of concern. That's such a useful model.
Oh, definitely. Once you get it, you see it everywhere. The circle of concern is huge. It's everything we worry about but can't really control.
Like the economy, politics, what other people think.
Exactly. Past mistakes, future anxieties. Reactive people tend to pour their energy into this huge circle, worrying, complaining.
And feeling powerless because, well, they are powerless over most of it.
Precisely. It just drains you. Now, the circle of influence, that's where proactive people focus. It's smaller. Initially, maybe.
What's in there?
Things you can actually do something about.
Yes.
Your attitude, your choices, your work ethic, developing your skills, how you behave in relationships, your health habits.
The stuff you can directly impact.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the really cool thing the material highlights is that as you focus your energy there on your circle of influence, it actually starts to grow. You become more capable, more influential. Reactive people, their focus on the concern circle actually makes their influence circle shrink. They feel more and more like victims.
The example used in the source about Viktor Frankl and the concentration camps. That's incredibly intense, but it makes the point so starkly.
It really does. Even when everything external is stripped away, he found that last freedom, the freedom to choose his internal response, his attitude, finding meaning, helping others, maintaining dignity. It shows that even when your circle of influence feels microscopic, that space to choose still exists.
It's that concept of responsibility, isn't it? Your ability to choose your response.
Exactly. Recognizing and using that ability is step 1. It's the core of taking control.
So, for you listening, habit 1 is really about empowerment. Realizing you do have that choice, that power, and focusing your energy on what you can actually control, even small things, is what starts to change everything else.
Okay, so once you've embraced that proactivity, that sense of control, the next logical step is habit number 2. Begin with the end in mind.
Right. If you're the pilot now, where are you actually flying the plane?
Precisely. This habit introduces a really profound idea. Everything is created twice. First, there's the mental creation.
The blueprint.
Exactly. The vision, the plan, the design in your mind. Only after that comes the second creation, the physical one. Building it, doing it, making it real.
And the warning is, if you don't consciously do that first mental creation.
Then external circumstances or other people's plans or just default assumptions will shape your reality for you. You'll be living out someone else's script or just reacting.
The building a house analogy works well here. You wouldn't just start throwing up walls.
Of course not. You need the plans, the blueprint, that's the first creation. Then you build the house, the second creation. Our lives need that same deliberate first creation. Are we designing our life or just letting it happen?
Like being the captain of a ship, as the source says. Without a destination, you're just drifting. You might be busy working hard at the sails.
But you could end up anywhere, maybe somewhere you really didn't want to be. Having that destination, that end in mind, lets you steer purposefully.
And the end here isn't just about, like, getting a promotion or making more money, right? It's deeper.
Much deeper. The source really pushes you to think about your core values. What kind of person do you want to become? What really matters to you? What contribution do you want to make? What defines success for you?
This is where that funeral test exercise comes in.
Yeah.
It sounds a bit grim.
It does, but it's incredibly effective for clarity. Imagine your own funeral, years down the line. What do you genuinely hope people, family, friends, colleagues, would say about you?
What qualities, what impact, what relationships would you want them to remember?
Yeah, it cuts through the daily noise and connects you to your deepest priorities. And that leads directly into the idea of creating a personal mission statement.
Like a personal constitution.
Exactly. A written declaration of your purpose, your values, your most important goals. It acts as your compass, keeping you grounded and focused, especially when things get tough or confusing. And it's not set in stone. It's a living document you can revisit and refine.
This also brings up that distinction between leadership and management. That's key.
Hugely important. Management is about efficiency, doing things right, climbing the ladder fast. Leadership is about effectiveness, doing the right things, making sure the ladder is leaning against the right wall in the first place.
You can be super efficient at tasks that don't actually move you towards your real goals if you haven't done the leadership part first.
Absolutely. So habit 2 is that leadership piece.
Yeah.
Defining your destination, your end, based on your values. It ensures your efforts are intentional and moving you towards a life you've consciously chosen.
Okay, which sets us up perfectly for habit number 3. Put first things first. So you've taken control. Habit 1, you know where you're going. Habit 2. Now, how do you actually get there day to day?
Right. This is the practical rubber meets the road habit. It's about execution. And the source frames it not just as time management, but as life management.
What do you mean?
Meaning it's about prioritizing your daily actions based on what's truly important, aligned with your mission from habit 2, not just based on what feels urgent in the moment.
Ah, the classic battle. Urgent versus important. That's the big hurdle, isn't it?
It really is. We get so easily sucked into the whirlwind of urgency. Emails pinging, phones ringing, unexpected meetings, minor crises.
Stuff that demands attention now.
Exactly. And because it's demanding attention, we often do it, even if it means neglecting the truly important things that aren't urgent. Things like strategic planning, building key relationships, exercise, learning, preventing problems before they start.
The stuff that actually moves the needle long term but doesn't shout for attention.
Precisely. And this is where that famous time management matrix, sometimes called the Eisenhower matrix, is so incredibly helpful.
Let's break that down. 4 quadrants, right?
Yes, based on 2 dimensions, urgency and importance. Quadrant 1 is urgent and important. Think crises, real deadlines, pressing problems. You have to manage these, but you don't want to live here. It leads to burnout.
Okay. Then quadrant 2.
This is the sweet spot. Important, but not urgent. This is where proactive work happens. Planning, relationship building, prevention, exercise, learning, finding new opportunities. This is the quadrant of quality and leadership. But because it's not urgent, it often gets pushed aside.
Right. Then quadrant 3.
Urgent, but not important. These are often interruptions, some meetings, pointless reports, tasks that feel pressing but don't actually contribute to your goals. They might be urgent to someone else. This is often the quadrant of deception, feels productive but isn't really moving you forward.
And finally, quadrant 3.
Not urgent and not important. This is essentially time wasting.
Wow.
Mindless scrolling, trivial busy work, escape activities, gossip. Zero value.
So the challenge for you listening is to honestly look at where your time goes. The goal of habit 3 is to shrink quadrants 3 and 4, manage quadrant 1, and consciously invest much more time and energy in quadrant 2.
Absolutely. And that requires discipline. Quadrant 2 activities rarely push themselves on you. You have to be proactive about scheduling them, protecting that time.
Which means
Yeah.
You have to learn to say no sometimes.
That's a crucial skill highlighted here. Saying yes to unimportant things, often quadrant third stuff, implicitly means saying no to your important quadrant two priorities. Learning to say no respectfully but firmly is actually a hallmark of effective self-management. It's taking ownership of your time based on your values.
So habit 3 really makes habits 1 and 2 concrete. It's translating your proactivity and your vision into focused daily action, moving from just reacting to urgencies to proactively managing your life based on what truly matters.
Okay, now we shift gears a bit. Habits 1, 2, and 3 are often called the private victory mastering yourself. Habits 4, 5, and 6 move into the public victory succeeding with other people. And that starts with habit number 4. Think win-win.
This is all about interaction then, how we approach working with others.
Exactly. And the core idea, the foundation, is what the source calls the abundance mentality.
Abundance, meaning there's enough for everyone.
Yes. Enough success, enough credit, enough opportunity to go around. It's the opposite of the scarcity mentality, which sees life as a fixed pie. If you get a bigger slice, mine must be smaller. Win-win says we can find solutions where everyone benefits. It's not me versus you, it's us versus the problem.
How does that work in practice? The source mentions 3 elements.
Right. First is character. You need integrity, maturity, and that abundance mentality. Your sense of self-worth can't be based on comparing yourself to others or winning over them. Second is relationships. You need to build trust. This ties into the emotional bank account idea, making deposits through courtesy, kindness, honesty, keeping commitments. You approach interactions valuing the other person's perspective.
Okay, character, relationships, and the third.
Agreements. The actual outcome you're aiming for needs to be a win-win solution. It has to be mutually beneficial and satisfying. This means you need clarity on your own needs and desired outcomes, but you also need to genuinely understand the other person's needs and concerns so you can find that synergistic third alternative that works for both.
So it's not just compromise, like splitting the difference.
No, often it's about finding a better way altogether. The source uses examples like business deals. A win-lose negotiator might get a short-term gain but damages the relationship. A win-win approach builds trust and opens doors for future collaboration because both sides feel respected and like they gain something.
It really fosters that sense of partnership, doesn't it? Leading to more sustainable success in work, family, anywhere you interact with people, shifting from competition to cooperation.
And that shift requires really good communication, which leads perfectly into habit number 5. Seek first to understand, then to be understood.
This one sounds simple.
Yeah.
But maybe it's the hardest.
It's arguably the core of effective interpersonal communication. And yeah, it goes against our natural grain. We all have this deep need to be understood, to get our point across, to feel heard.
So we focus on crafting our reply while the other person is still talking.
Exactly. We're listening autobiographically, filtering everything through our own experiences, our own opinions, preparing our rebuttal or advice. We're not truly listening to understand their world, their perspective, their feelings. The source highlights how often conversations are just two people talking at each other, waiting for their turn.
And the core message here is, if you want to influence someone, connect with them or find those win-win solutions.
You must first make the effort to deeply understand them, empathically. Until someone feels genuinely heard and understood by you, they're unlikely to be open to your ideas or perspective. The example of the executive whose team wasn't performing, it turned out he simply wasn't listening to them. Once he started truly understanding their issues, things shifted.
This connects back to that emotional bank account idea too, right?
Absolutely. Empathetic listening, really trying to see the world through their eyes, acknowledging their feelings, makes huge deposits. It builds trust, safety, and openness. Interrupting, judging, advising prematurely, dismissing their feelings, those are major withdrawals. They deplete trust and create defensiveness.
Why is it so difficult, though? Just listening.
Well, that autobiographical listening is a big part of it. We tend to evaluate, I agree, disagree, probe, ask questions from our own agenda, advise, you should, or interpret, explain their motives based on our own. We jump in too quickly. True empathetic listening requires setting aside our own stuff for a moment.
So what does empathetic listening look like?
It's a skill you practice. It's listening with your ears, eyes, and heart, paying attention to body language, tone, not just words. It involves reflecting back what you hear, not to agree or disagree, but to check your understanding. Things like, so it sounds like you're feeling frustrated because, or let me see if I understand, you're concerned about X. It requires presence and genuine curiosity.
The story in the source about the couple near divorce who finally learned to hear each other, That really illustrates the power.
It's incredibly powerful. It wasn't about immediate solutions. It was about rebuilding connection, simply by creating that safe space for understanding.
So for you listening, this means practicing everywhere, really listening to your partner, your kids, your colleagues, without immediately jumping in to fix, judge, or talk about yourself. It's foundational for trust.
And importantly, the source notes this applies to listening to yourself too, tuning into your own feelings and needs. Also remembering that communication is way more than just words. It's emotion, body language. Focusing only on logic misses so much. It requires vulnerability.
The source also mentions using open-ended questions as a tool here.
Yes, that's a great practical tip. Instead of closed questions that get a yes/no answer, did you finish the report? Ask open-ended ones. How's the report coming along? What are your thoughts on it? They invite sharing, show genuine interest, and help you understand more deeply. Empathetic listening is really a mindset shift. Understanding first is the key to being understood. Okay, so if you're thinking win-win, habit 4, and practicing seeking first to understand, habit 5, you create the conditions for habit number 6, synergize.
Synergy. This is where the magic happens when people work together effectively.
Exactly. It's defined as creating something together that's greater than the sum of the parts, where 1 + 1 = 3 or 10 or 100. It's about valuing differences, different perspectives, strengths, ideas, and combining them to produce outcomes none of you could have achieved alone.
Like the symphony analogy from the source. Individual instruments sound good.
But together, playing in harmony, they create something far richer and more complex. That's synergy. It's creative cooperation.
And it builds directly on the previous habits, right? It doesn't just happen.
Absolutely not. The source emphasizes this. You need proactivity to take initiative. Begin with the end in mind, a clear shared goal. Put first things first, prioritizing the collaborative effort. Think win-win, believing a better solution is possible for everyone. And crucially, seek first to understand, being genuinely open to and valuing those different perspectives.
So the process involves bringing those diverse viewpoints together, trusting each other enough to brainstorm openly.
And genuinely valuing the differences, not just tolerating them. Seeing different mental, emotional, psychological approaches as strengths, as the raw material for creating something new and better. It requires humility, admitting you don't have all the answers.
It sounds amazing, but probably messy sometimes. Requires letting go of control.
It can be messy. It requires trust, vulnerability, and navigating disagreements constructively. But the source argues that the breakthroughs achieved through synergy are often far superior to compromise or one person's best idea. It's moving beyond your way or my way to find a higher our way.
How can we apply this in our daily lives?
Look for opportunities. Collaborating with family on decisions, tackling a tough project with colleagues by pooling diverse skills, even brainstorming solutions with friends. The key is that foundation of trust built through habits 4 and 5, and a genuine belief that collective wisdom can lead to better outcomes. Practice deep listening, specifically looking for the value in different views.
The payoff seems huge, though. Achieving more, being more creative, building stronger connections.
And just seeing the world through a richer, broader lens, tapping into collective intelligence. Which brings us to the final habit. Habit number 7, sharpen the saw. This one is a bit different. It's the habit that makes all the other habits possible over the long run.
It's about renewal, right? Keeping yourself in good shape to be effective.
Exactly. It's about preserving and enhancing your greatest asset, you. The source breaks this down into renewing yourself regularly across 4 key dimensions of your life. If you let the saw get dull, your ability to practice the other habits diminishes.
Okay, what are the 4 dimensions?
First is the physical dimension, taking care of your body. This means regular exercise that you enjoy, healthy nutrition that fuels you properly, and getting enough sleep and managing stress. It's not a luxury. It's critical for having the energy and resilience for everything else.
Makes sense. What's next?
Second is the social-emotional dimension. This is about nurturing your relationships and your own sense of inner security. It involves practicing habits 4, 5, and 6, thinking win-win, listening empathically, synergizing. It also includes things like acts of service, contributing to others without expecting a return, which builds connection and character.
Okay, physical, social, emotional, third.
Third is the mental dimension, keeping your mind active and growing. This means continuous learning, reading widely, taking courses, listening to informative content like this. It also includes writing, like journaling or reflecting, planning, visualizing, and engaging in mentally stimulating activities, keeping your mind sharp and open.
And the 4th dimension.
The spiritual dimension. This is about connecting with your core values, your sense of purpose, your inner self. It provides leadership to your life. How you do this is very personal. It could be through meditation, prayer, spending time in nature, engaging with great art or music, clarifying your values, reading inspirational literature. It's about finding meaning and peace.
So, sharpen the saw isn't selfish me time.
Not at all. The source is clear. It's about increasing your capacity to live all the habits effectively. If you're physically exhausted, emotionally drained, mentally stagnant, or spiritually adrift, how well can you be proactive? How well can you listen or synergize? Renewal in these four areas enhances your ability to produce, to handle challenges, to contribute, benefiting both yourself and everyone around you.
It's the ongoing maintenance required to keep the whole system running effectively.
Precisely. It's investing in yourself so you can continue to live effectively according to the principles of the other 6 habits.
Wow. Okay, so that's quite a journey through these first 7 habits. We've gone from taking personal control and setting direction through managing ourselves day to day, building effective relationships based on mutual benefit and understanding, and finally, the crucial need for continuous self-renewal.
It's a powerful framework. And maybe a final thought for you to consider as you reflect on all this. Which one of these habits really resonates with you right now? Not necessarily the one you think you should focus on, but the one that feels most relevant to your current situation or aspirations.
Yeah, where do you feel the biggest pull?
And once you identify that, what's just one small concrete step you could take maybe even today or this week to start practicing it more consciously? Because the real power isn't just in knowing these habits, it's in the consistent choice to actually live them day by day. That's where the transformation happens.
Thank you for your support and for listening.